Who would have thought that escaping the French Revolution can turn a family from prosecution to building monumental wealth and with a twist of fate reach the point of almost owning America? The DuPont family's rise to what can only be described as world domination dates back to the 19th century when they acquired enough wealth to silence those who dared to stand against them without ever raising suspicions. Slowly and gradually, they rose to a position where they could afford to go against the President of the United States and even get away with unspeakable crimes. In this video, I will take you back in history to the origin of the DuPont family's wealth, their influence in America, and every incriminating thing there is to know about them. The DuPont family's history in America began in the year 1800 when Pierre Samuel DuPont de Nemours and his two sons moved from France into the United States to escape the French Revolution. At the time, Pierre Samuel DuPont was a watchmaker who might not have imagined that his family would become one of the richest families in America, or that the family's name would be involved in a series of shocking scandals that would leave the world in disbelief. 2 years after migrating to the United States, Pierre DuPont's son, Irénée DuPont, who was a chemist, noticed a severe lag in Americans' gunpowder production and decided to fill up the gap. He was an industrialist who noted that the country was producing less gunpowder at high rates and jumped in to help the situation. In 1802, he established a gunpowder mill on the banks of the Brandywine River near Wilmington, Delaware. Situating the mill close to the Delaware River was an added advantage to the company as the river provided lots of benefits. The surrounding trees were turned into charcoal, which was then used to produce gunpowder. The company experienced a boost in sales during the World War of 1812 as it was the major supplier for the government, and from there things only got better. Irénée DuPont's company officially started to amass huge amounts of profit during the American Civil War and World War I. With the profits made from war, Irénée expanded and diversified his business, making it into the world-class chemical empire, which would in turn make his family one of America's richest families. However, as the years passed, the DuPont family wealth soon became a source of both light and darkness to Americans. As the family's wealth grew, they started to gain influence in the country, but that wasn't enough, and soon they began to harbor the desire to control the country. During the 18th and 19th centuries, the DuPont family was actively involved in politics and played a big role in the negotiations for the Treaty of Paris and the Louisiana Purchase. Several members of the family delved into politics with different aims, but the most common factor was to make sure they influenced political decisions to always favor the family business. On different occasions, the DuPonts stood as either facilitators or opposition to laws that were passed by the government. In 1928, 3 members of the DuPont family joined the Association Against the Prohibition Amendment. The goal of the organization was to annul the nationwide ban on the sale and manufacture of alcoholic drinks, which was enacted in 1920. As members of the organization, the DuPonts believed that the ban affected the society badly in the sense that it led to an increase in crime rates. They continued to argue the issue until the ban was lifted in December 1933. As the years passed, the DuPont's family ambition knew no bounds. Members of the family gained access into several organizations where they would spend millions of dollars to influence the government. When President Franklin Roosevelt introduced the new social and economic programs with the aim of saving the country from its economic troubles, the DuPonts, alongside other wealthy families, raised an opposition against the president. The DuPonts believed that the programs would seriously restrict their business, so they formed the American Liberty League, or ALL. The group was determined to stop Roosevelt's New Deal programs and defeat him in the presidential elections. Members of the group spent a total of $600,000 in a bid to defeat Roosevelt, and 1/4 of that money was contributed by the DuPont family. Despite their efforts, Roosevelt eventually won the election. While it may seem that the DuPont family only opposed the government to selfishly feed their pockets, they changed that narrative with their numerous philanthropic activities. Till date, the country of America still enjoys the benefits of their philanthropy, but some people believe that these acts of kindness are part of an elaborate plan to keep the people from knowing all the vicious things the family is hiding. These claims are backed up by the shocking controversies surrounding the family that you are about to uncover. Whatever their motives are, the DuPont family has spent millions of dollars donating and building schools and centers that serve the purpose of community development. They were also among the founders of the National Trust for Historic Preservation, donating large sums to build several gardens and elaborate museums such as the Delaware Museum of Natural History. In 2013, one member of the family donated over $20 million to the government to purchase land for the First State National Historical Park. They have also donated millions to public schools in Delaware, especially schools for Black American children. One family member was part of the Delaware School Board for years. Indeed, the family's wealth has been used to serve the nation in several ways. However, the controversies surrounding the family have left the world wondering if the family really has America's best interest at heart. After the family business was diversified into manufacturing various kinds of products, their innovations with polymer greatly impacted the American industry. DuPont products like nylon, Vespel, Captain, Kevlar, and other chemicals have been widely accepted and used by thousands of Americans who did not know the dangers they were facing at the hands of some of these products. But that is not all. The world started to see the darker side of the DuPont family after a plethora of lawsuits against the company due to their illegal and inhumane disposal of toxic chemicals. The first of such lawsuits came in 1999 when attorney Robert Billett alleged that the company's illegal disposal of a harmful chemical known as perfluorooctanoic acid caused harm to a ranch in West Virginia. Another lawsuit claimed that the company had caused widespread contamination of water in West Virginia and Ohio. These chemicals possessed unhealthy substances which contributed to the rise in the number of cancer cases and other health conditions in the environment. It turns out that behind the company's contribution to society, there was a more sinister agenda being carried out. One would think that the company would be badly affected by more than 3,000 lawsuits filed against it, but the DuPonts simply used these cases as an avenue to show the power of money and influence. In the end, the company paid over $700 million to settle every last one of the lawsuits. They also paid a fine of $16.5 million to the Environmental Protection Agency. Although the DuPont company promised to stop the production and disposal of these harmful chemicals, damage had already been done to thousands of people. There is a long list of controversies attached to the family name, but perhaps one of the most shocking ones is the case of Robert Richards IV, the great-grandson of Eleuthère DuPont. In 2009, the public's attention was drawn to the family after Richards pleaded guilty to raping his 3-year-old daughter. The little girl reported the abuse to her grandmother, saying she didn't want her daddy to touch her anymore. Richards was convicted of rape and was sentenced to 8 years in prison, but the case took an alarming turn when the presiding judge let him off the hook without him serving his sentence. Delaware Superior Court Judge Jan R. Jordan allegedly stated that he didn't think that Richards would fare well in prison, hence his 8-year sentence was suspended. Although one DuPont family member had previously been sent to jail for murder, many people believed that there was some sort of foul play involved in Richards' case. While people were still trying to ingest the fact that a child molester wasn't given jail time, another story was uncovered. In 2010, Richards was accused of molesting his own son. The abuse was said to have begun in December 2005 and continued for the next 2 years. Once again, the world was at a standstill wondering what was to come, but it ended in disappointment. After thorough investigations, the police and prosecutors did not find enough evidence to pursue the case. Americans have since been plagued with questions as to whether the legal system chose to intentionally turn a blind eye to Richard's grievous crimes because of his wealth and influence in the country. It is true that over decades the DuPont family, to an extent, became integral to the growth and development of the country. However, as more people look past the smokescreen of their good deeds and learn about the family's darker sides, they begin to wonder if the family did more harm than good to the country. By every indication, it appears that the DuPonts still have a strong hold over the country, even after all they have done.